In many of my previous videos, I've shared with you basic roasting concepts, the basic principles of how to roast coffee. And those are really important videos, but today I want to share with you 7 ways that home coffee roasters can improve their coffee roasting skills. So stick around. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to the Virtual Coffee Lab. Today I want to focus on 7 ways that we can improve our game, that we can improve our skills when it comes to roasting coffee at home. And some of these points are things that we've talked about in the past, but I want to tie this together because we have enough information now where we can take these principles, take these concepts in roasting, and we can apply them. And so here are the 7, and they're not really in any particular order, but they're all very important so that we can learn how to roast coffee and improve our roasting skills. All right, the first one is tasting our results. This may seem really obvious, but the cup tells the truth. As we roast coffee and then we drink it, we will learn about the results of what we did. So if we have roasting defects, we'll taste those. If we have pushed that roast too quickly through that middle phase and we didn't get the development of the caramelization or the acidity, or maybe it's too tart of a cup, we learn from that as we drink the coffee that we roasted. We write down these tasting notes. We write down these things that we notice so the next time we roast that coffee, we can make changes and we can improve that cup of coffee. So it's important for us to taste the coffee and make good notes so that we can reference them with our log of our coffee. And that's my second point is as we roast, we need to be documenting what we're doing during the roasting process. If you have logging software, that's awesome. That is a great point, but there's also an area where you can apply notes. You can also make notes in a journal if you're doing it by hand, and or logging your temperatures, your times, and your reference points, your waypoints, your milestones during the roast, like dry end, first crack, and when you drop the beans. All right, the third point is to share your coffee. So this is something that a lot of us don't do. I've heard so many times from people leaving comments that they wish they roasted more often so that they could improve their skills. The truth is that the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you give your coffee away or share your coffee with other people. This could be a good thing, or it could be something that could burden you because financially you just can't buy coffee and give it away. And I understand that completely. But here's a few things to think about. First, the feedback that they give you is going to help you improve your roasting skills. Secondly, you're going to be able to share your coffee, and that means you're going to have to roast more often. And third, you're going to be able to improve your roasting skills to the point where when you share this coffee with people, they may be even willing to kind of join your coffee club in a sense, where they not necessarily pay you for drinking the coffee, but at least give you some money to cover the cost of the beans. Beans aren't that expensive. You can buy some great coffee beans for $5, $6, $7 for a pound, and you may share that coffee with 2 or 3 people and just ask for a couple dollars. And if that's uncomfortable, if you don't want to do that, I completely understand. But a lot of these people are looking for good coffee, and the coffee you're going to roast is going to be a lot better than the coffee that they're going to get from the store. That might be a controversial point, and I understand if you don't want to do that, but that's one way that you're going to be able to go through that coffee a little quicker, roast more often, and improve your skills. All right, the fourth point is to get a couple of good books that are out online right now that you can get that will teach you a lot of what I've been sharing. A lot of the information I'm getting is coming from books that I've read. And the first one, of course, we had Rob on as a guest, is the Modulating the Flavor Profile of Coffee. This book right here. This is a great book when it comes to tasting and roasting. Rob combines both of these concepts, tasting the changes that he has made to his coffee. So he'll adjust the middle phase time, or he'll change the temperature a little bit when he is dropping the coffee. And so this book will discuss that. It's not a thick book, 65, 60 pages, and some of them are loaded with terms. And so it's really a quick read. It's a great reference, and I would highly recommend it. The other one is Scott Rao book. This one, The Coffee Roaster's Companion, is the first one that he wrote. This is a great book. It talks about basic roasting concepts, but he has just come out with another book this last year that deals with some of the specific concepts that we've been talking about when it comes to times and temperatures and the impact of your rate of rise, and it just deals with all of that. So if you just look up online, I'll actually have some links in the description to these books so you can check them out. But these are really helpful resources that will reinforce some of the things that I've been saying. And actually, I mean, these guys are experts. They know a lot about coffee and roasting coffee and tasting coffee. And so I would highly recommend you check these books out. All right, the fifth concept, and this is really an important one because so many of us do this, is we watch what somebody does and then we try to reproduce it. So there are people that ask for recipes. What are your times and temperatures so I can try to reproduce this? And honestly, it doesn't work. It's more important. I mean, it'll give you some points of reference for times, and then you're going to have to work out the temperatures yourself because we all have different size probes, different types of equipment we're roasting on, and different roasting environments with the ambient temperature of the room, all of that, whether we're roasting on propane, gas, or if it's electric. There's so many different variables that you just can't watch somebody do something and then try to reproduce that. What you can do, though, is you can take the principles of what that person's doing. So you watch videos online. For example, I was watching a video online and I was listening to somebody talk about times and temperatures, and that really didn't do me a whole lot of good. But as soon as they started talking about percentages of a roast or color changes and what they were smelling, all of those things really help me as points of reference. So it's important to watch videos online, but it's not going to be helpful to just simply reproduce these roasts and to ask or try to write down a recipe. It's really important for you to understand my next point, which is going to really guide you through to give you some great results. And that's the sixth point, and that is to really understand the three phases of coffee. I put a video out a while back, 3 tips for home coffee roasters. And that is a really important video because it discusses all 3 phases. It's an introduction to the 3 phases of coffee. Most of you guys have heard this. I've been talking about this in most of my videos. It's really helped me to watch and understand what's happening during the roast. What is happening during the dry phase? What is happening during this middle phase? And then, of course, the third phase, the development phase. So it's important for us to understand the 3 phases of coffee roasting, but it's even more important to try to apply them to our roast. So when you roast, watch the color of the beans, smell the color or smell the beans, and listen to what's happening with the coffee. A few videos back, I had a coffee friend on with me, Lou, and Lou was talking about watching the size of the beans change in his Beemore. As he got to the end of dry, he noticed the beans started to get larger and they tumble differently. It's things like that that make a huge difference when we roast coffee. So we need to understand the 3 phases of coffee roasting, and then we need to try to listen and watch and smell to what's happening to our roast, as well as the times and temperatures. Right. And the 7th point is to share and interact with other home coffee roasters. So speaking of sharing, and that's what we're doing here, that's the whole point of these videos that I'm doing, is to share what I've learned. And I haven't learned everything. I'm learning just like you are. But to share what I've learned so that you can take what I've learned and what you've learned and apply that and then see for yourself the results. So this community, this channel that I have started here, is a place for us to learn together, to share and interact. I would encourage you to go through the comments, to take a look at the comments. You'll see some people ask questions and you'll see some responses given. even by other home coffee roasters. And that's what this is all about. It's for us to be able to interact together, to share information together. And that's what this channel is all about. So I would encourage you to do that, whether it's here at the Virtual Coffee Lab, or whether it's on Facebook in a Facebook group, or in a Reddit group, or somewhere else online in some of the different forums. Those are all really helpful. And going back to one of my earlier points, when you share coffee with other people, literally giving them beans and asking for feedback, you're drawing these people into the home coffee roasting hobby. They might not go out and buy a roaster, but guess what? They may want you to roast them more coffee. They may want to learn more about home coffee roasting, and maybe they'll share with others that will want to get into the hobby. And that's great. That's fine too. But sharing information with each other as part of the home coffee community. And by the way, speaking of sharing, and I've mentioned this in all of my other videos, please hit the like button on this video, because that will share your positive feedback or negative feedback to YouTube, and that is a signal to them that something good is going on here that other home coffee roasters might have an interest in. So I would encourage you to do that, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for my channel. That helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great week roasting coffee. We'll see you next time here at the Virtual Coffee Lab.